In 1587, an expedition of English explorers set foot on the shores of North America, a land never before known.
This was one of the first expeditions of the English to the New World.
Little did they know, this journey would not only open a new chapter, but also lead to an unsolved mystery.
When the explorers returned 3 years later, they found nothing.
No trace remained, except for a single word carved into a tree, leaving many unanswered questions.
This land was called Roanoke, a meeting point between two worlds.
In the summer of 1585, Sir Walter Raleigh sent an expedition to establish a new colony here.
However, life at Roanoke was not long-lived, and the explorers had to return to England.
In 1587, a group of 115 people were sent to Roanoke to establish a permanent settlement. But 3 years later, all of them had mysteriously disappeared.
Sir Walter Raleigh, the English explorer, sent the first expedition to Roanoke in 1585, a mission fraught with danger.
But the expedition could not sustain life and had to return to England. These memories are now preserved in ancient scrolls. In 1587, a group of 115 people, including men, women, and children, were sent to Roanoke with hopes of building a sustainable colony.
They brought with them supplies, food, and necessary tools to build a community.
Here, they began constructing homes, the first foundations for a new colony. Upon arrival, they met with the natives and worked together to build the community, a connection between two cultures.
These exchanges took place in a peaceful atmosphere, and the natives initially helped them.
With the natives' help, they began planting crops and establishing their new lives. Some groups went hunting and fishing to find food.
The settlers worked tirelessly to ensure their long-term survival, with the fire burning brightly in the background. However, not everything went smoothly. The settlers began to feel anxious about their future.
Tools and supplies became worn and broken, and food sources grew increasingly scarce.
In 1587, the expedition returned to England for more resources and continued support.
John White, the leader of the expedition, was sent back to England for assistance. He left Roanoke and the settlers behind on the island.
A great storm and war with Spain caused a delay of 3 years before he could return. Finally, John White and the expedition returned to Roanoke.
When they arrived, the settlement was completely abandoned, and not a single soul remained.
Only remnants of their lives remained. But no one was left behind.
On a large tree, a strange word was carved: Croatoan.
John White and the expedition searched the island, but no other traces were found.
He could not explain the meaning of the word, and began to speculate.
Croatoan is the name of a nearby island, and perhaps the Roanoke people had gone there. John White looked back at the carving, unsure whether this was the only clue to explain the disappearance. The expedition decided to leave Roanoke and search Croatoan.
A great storm approached, but the expedition continued their journey.
They rode through the rough seas, hoping to find clues about the missing people.
Croatoan Island appeared before the expedition, where they hoped to find traces of the Roanoke people.
Finally, the expedition set foot on Croatoan Island, where they believed the Roanoke people might have survived.
When John White, the leader of the second expedition, returned in 1590, he found nothing.
The settlement was deserted. There were no traces of the settlers. Instead, he discovered a strange clue: the word Croatoan, carved into a tree.
John White and the expedition searched the island thoroughly, but found no signs of the settlers.
They scoured the shoreline, looking for any clues that could explain the disappearance. The word Croatoan left them puzzled and raised many questions.
John White thought deeply about the meaning of this word. Could it be a sign to go further?
Croatoan was the name of a nearby island, and it seemed plausible the settlers had moved there.
But there was no sign that the settlers had survived here on the island.
So you think they were attacked? I don't know.
It's possible they just moved on.
But why leave no trace?
One of the sailors gazed toward the horizon, hoping for a sign.
John White and the expedition considered the possibility that the Roanoke settlers had made their way to Croatoan. The word Croatoan continued to raise questions, but there was no clear explanation. The crew started preparing to venture to Croatoan, using the wooden oars and ropes of the time.
Croatoan was close by, and this island might hold the answers to the settlers' disappearance.
John White was increasingly worried, unable to find any more signs of the missing settlers.
He looked back at the carving, unsure if this was the only clue left to explain the disappearance.
The crew decided to leave Roanoke and sail to Croatoan in search of answers.
A great storm approached, but the expedition continued their journey. They rowed through the stormy seas, hoping to find answers about the missing settlers.
Croatoan appeared before the expedition, the island where they hoped to find traces of the Roanoke settlers.
Finally, the expedition landed on Croatoan Island, where they believed the Roanoke settlers might have survived.
Some suggest the settlers were attacked by native tribes, as tensions might have escalated.
But there is no clear evidence of a battle, only signs of abandonment and survival.
Native weapons like spears and bows could have been used in the conflict, but no physical signs of conflict have been found. Another theory proposes that the settlers died due to disease or starvation, as resources began to dwindle. Crops failed, and food became scarce, making survival nearly impossible.
Another theory suggests the settlers may have migrated to Croatoan Island, a nearby refuge.
It is believed that some settlers may have set sail for Croatoan in search of a better life.
Could a storm have driven the settlers away? Some believe a powerful storm might have led them to seek shelter on Croatoan.
Food shortages might have forced the settlers to seek alternative sources of survival.
Eventually, the settlement was abandoned, leaving behind only remnants of what once was. In modern times, archaeologists have unearthed artifacts near Croatoan that may provide clues about the fate of the settlers.
Artifacts such as pottery and tools have been found, suggesting that the settlers may have lived on Croatoan Island.
Some of these artifacts are closely linked to the Roanoke Colony, further confirming the connection.
DNA testing has shown possible links between the Roanoke settlers and modern Native American tribes.
Modern research has reconstructed the history of Croatoan Island, revealing possible connections with Roanoke. Today, Croatoan Island remains a site of mystery, shrouded in fog and speculation. Modern explorers have turned to technology, using GPS and advanced equipment to search for any remaining signs. Some DNA results suggest a connection between the Roanoke settlers and certain Native American tribes. Recent discoveries have shown signs of an ancient village on Croatoan, possibly inhabited by the Roanoke settlers. Historical documents continue to mention Roanoke, but the mystery of what truly happened remains unsolved.
Scientists and historians continue to analyze these findings in search of the truth behind Roanoke.
The mystery of Roanoke persists, leaving us with more questions than answers as the years go on.
Despite centuries of investigation, the fate of the Roanoke settlers remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history. Theories continue to evolve, and new discoveries are made, but the truth remains elusive.
Historians continue to debate and refine their theories, but no definitive answer has emerged.
John White's journey back to Roanoke remains one of the most significant moments in the search for answers.
Over the years, countless theories have been proposed, each one leading us closer to the truth, yet still so far away.
And so the mystery endures, stretching through the centuries, leaving us to wonder.
Each new discovery sparks excitement, but also deepens the mystery.
As our knowledge grows, so too do the possibilities of what might have happened. These documents, though aged, continue to reveal clues about the lost colony.
Each time we search, the fog seems to grow thicker, the mystery ever deeper. The unanswered questions linger, and we are left with only speculation. Perhaps one day, the truth will be revealed. But for now, the mystery remains.
While the mystery of the Roanoke Colony may never be full solved, its legacy endures. As we continue to search for the answers, we are reminded of the perseverance of those early settlers.
They dared to venture into the unknown, despite all the risks and uncertainties.
Perhaps one day, the final piece of the puzzle will fall into place.
Until then, the story remains one of history's greatest enigmas.
The search for answers continues, even centuries after the settlers' disappearance. Historians and explorers continue to study the past, hoping to unravel the mystery.
The lost colony of Roanoke, still a symbol of mystery and intrigue, forever etched in the pages of history.
Perhaps one day, we will uncover the truth behind their disappearance.
Until then, the legend of Roanoke lives on.